Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NWA Powerrr and USA from June 5th or 8th for Powerrr and July 5th or 8th for Powerrr and July 9th for USA. And we're now 4 weeks removed from the Always Ready pay-per-view event. We just finished all the Knocks Out tapings in Knoxville that were taped right after the pay-per-view event. So now we've returned to the NWA studio in Nashville, Tennessee. And the YouTube preview for this week's episode of Powerrr says that Billy Corgan has major news for the NWA World Title. So that'll be the big story coming out of this week, and we'll get into that. Just a little reminder of what's basically been happening these last couple of weeks. We haven't seen Trevor Murdoch defend the title on TV yet. Remember, he won the four-way once Matt Cardona had to relinquish the 10 pounds of gold. So just last week, we saw both the women's and men's tag teams successfully defended, including Kenzie Page seeing Ella Envy cheat yet again and was super upset, but still took the win by holding on to the other opponents. So we also saw Aaron Stevens return from his little sabbatical. He was maybe going to retire, and he managed Rodney Mack last week. Luke Hawx is still blaming Homicide, even though PJ Hawx said it was fine. And since Always Ready, we've seen Jax Dane defend the national heavyweight title. He basically sent Eric Jackson to the hospital in that one. Camille and Kylan King also have showed respect to each other after their battle at Always Ready. But we've also got people like Natalia Markova and Taya Valkyrie. And we find out today someone else is also after the women's title held by Camille. So, um, weirdly, we haven't had any TV title defenses on TV this last month. We have seen Tyra's team with Austin Idol's son Scion, and they beat the Ill Begotten a few weeks ago. So that just kind of catches us up to where we are now. So NWA Powerrr this week, if you saw it on FITE TV, July 5th. If you saw it on YouTube, July 8th. And speaking of the TV title, we strangely don't start NWA Powerrr with Kyle Davis as usual. Instead, already in the ring will be a triple threat #1 contendership for the NWA television title. We've got AJ Cazana, Odinson, and Judais, who has the Sinister Minister with him. And there's definitely some big beef in this matchup. So this is going to start us off this week. AJ Cazana gets in the Judais' face. Judea then gets taken out with a double team shoulder tackle. Odinson now knocks down AJ with the same move, a shoulder tackle. Judais then takes both men out with a really good looking hot shots on the ropes. This allows Judais to take control, but then AJ dodges a kick, and Odinson's now back in it. Odinson tries to suplex both men at the same time, but ends up getting double back body dropped instead. So Judais and AJ now exchange punches for a while. Judais is starting to win the exchange when Odinson comes in, takes out both men with a flying uppercut. Odinson then hits a really bad-looking neck breaker and slams Judais on top of AJ. Judais then saves AJ from Odinson and hits a choke slam on Odinson. AJ's now back up and hits a nice spine buster on Judais. One of the best matches we've seen in weeks in NWA right here. Judais then goes to the choke slam AJ, but Odinson takes out Judais with a pounce. Then Odinson hits the F10, the F5 finisher on AJ for the 1-2-3. The winner and new #1 contender for the NWA television title is Odinson. So that should be a good match whenever we see Odinson versus Tyrus. And maybe that'll be on NWA 74. I'm not sure. They didn't let us know. So we're told that later Billy Corgan's announcement will be here, as well as the Fixers rivalry with the Mortons continues when Jay Bradley takes on Kerry Morton. And we've also got the new NWA World Champion Trevor Murdoch in action today in a non-title match against Thrillbilly Silas. And now we get the NWA Powerrr opening video playing. So now, once that plays, Kyle Davis starts us off, and he's got Homicide with him. Homicide's all fired up, and he says that Ricky Morton's a legend. Kerry could be a future legend, but he doesn't have the it factor, Homicide says. So Homicide tells the Morton family thanks for saving his life. Homicide will defend the junior heavyweight title at St. Louis NWA 74 against Kerry Morton. So Kyle Davis then says, well, you've got a match this week on USA against VSK for the title, so you got to get through that first. Homicide says, I'm a fighting champion. I'll defend this title against anybody, anywhere. And Homicide definitely seems a little drunk or messed up, allegedly, during this promo, but it was still a good promo. So after the break, May Valentine is going to have a sit down interview with Aaron Stevens. So when we come back, May's all excited. Aaron seems pretty happy as well. They definitely act like a married couple for sure. May says that they wouldn't even be here if their plane ticket to Brazil didn't get canceled. Aaron says, I feel bad because we had all that planned. Then makes a good pun about the C and like C as in yes. That was a decent pun. Aaron brings up Rodney Mack and says Aaron is still retired, but in the parking lot, he ran into Rodney. Rodney was there for Aaron when Aaron was only 20 years old back in the day, probably in OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, back in the day. Aaron then told Rodney that he's the hardest hitter Aaron's ever been in the ring with, and this got Rodney to believe in himself. If you remember what Rodney Mack was saying, how he was had someone that helped him believe in himself again. Aaron then slips up by saying, blow off the Brazil trip, and then quickly says, put it off. And this pretty much confirms that Aaron canceled the plane tickets himself, probably after that meeting with Rodney Mack. And Aaron says, we'll just go to Brazil for Christmas. So May wants to have Aaron meet her mom, but Aaron says, well, how about the beach instead? So Aaron's definitely acting super weird throughout this, almost shady. So definitely something shady going on here with Aaron Stevens. We go to an ad break after that. There's an ad for Power and USA tapings right after the St. Louis NWA 74 event. So 3 days in a row, right after those 2-day pay-per-view, there'll be tapings in Nashville, August 29th, 30th, and 31st. So when we come back from break, we get a recap of last week's USA main event where Ella Envy cheated yet again to retain the tag titles, and Kenji Page is super upset about it. So now in the back, May Valentine has Chelsea Green and the Cardonas. That's VSK and Mike Knox. And Chelsea says the Cardonas have put NWA on the map. My husband has taken NWA to new heights. Billy promised us all the Cardonas will get title shots. VSK has a title shot on USA, but there are 4 members of the Cardonas, and we are holding you to your word, Billy. So VSK then says he's going to be the next NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion. When Matt put us together, it was to get all the gold. So Knox says he wants to remind Billy Corgan that Knox was in the ring when all these promises were made, and let me know when my title shot is, Billy. So Cardona's saying they all want title shots, so that's yet another potential person stepping up the Camille soon, with Chelsea Green saying that they're all promised title shots. So we got our next match, Thrillbilly Silas, along with his manager Pollo Del Mar, out the huge boos. No dip cup, thankfully, this time. Let's hope we never see that gross exchange ever again between those two. Trevor Murdoch is out next. The huge cheers. This is going to be a non-title match. Thrillbilly's yelling at the crowd. Then Thrillbilly yells right in Trevor's face, so Trevor just slaps Thrillbilly's face hard to start this out, then hits a huge spine buster. This might not last long. Thrillbilly tries to fight back, but a nasty lariat takes him down. Trevor then hits some strikes. Pollo Del Mar then grabs the leg of Murdoch. She could definitely sense this was turning in a hurry. This allows Thrillbilly to hit a suplex and go on the attack himself. Murdoch is able to kick out at 1 on a pin attempt. Thrillbilly then hits a headbutt and a scoop slam to some big boos from the crowd. Murdoch then dodges a leg drop and hits a boot to Thrillbilly's face. Then a pop-up power bomb by Trevor, who then goes to the top rope looking for and connecting on his top rope bulldog for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall is Trevor Murdoch. So now Kyle Davis is with Murdoch and says that this someone hasn't been able to congratulate Murdoch on winning the NWA World Title yet. And then Kyle Davis brings out the Pope. So the Pope says everyone should have been congratulating Murdoch. I knew you could take anything put against you. You did it, and now you're the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Since you and I go way back, I want to let you know I'm proud of you. And Murdoch just simply walks off without saying a word. That was a little unlike Trevor Murdoch there. We'll see where that goes. And I say right here, I write a note, maybe this will be our title match in St. Louis NWA 74. So when we find out the Billy Corgan news later on, that's definitely a possibility that it might be Murdoch versus the Pope. in the main event of NWA 74. So we'll have to wait and see. We go on an ad break after that. When we come back, Mae Valentine's in the back with Allison Kay of the Hex, who lost and didn't get back their title after all the cheating from Ella Envy. So Allison Kay says her and Marty are devastated in the manner that we lost the titles, but I have unfinished business with Camille going back all the way to 2020 when she speared me. This brings in Kylan King, who walks up and says, I couldn't help but overhear. I too have unfinished business with Camille. So how about next week you and I fight for the #1 contendership? Allison Kay basically just says okay, and that seemingly sets up a #1 contendership match next week. Allison Kay versus Kylan King. Kylan King was the last opponent for Camille, so I expect maybe Allison Kay will win this match. I don't know how I feel about Kylan King getting another title shot before anybody else does, but we'll have to see. Maybe Kylan King wins this, and we'll get a rematch at NWA 74. So on USA this week, like we were mentioning earlier, Homicide will defend his junior heavyweight title against VSK. We'll also see Jenna Side take on Angelina Love, and Jax Dane will have a non-title match against adorable Anthony Andrews. So those are our 3 USA matches, which I will cover on this review as well. So next is the main event of Powerrr. It's going to be Jay Bradley versus Kerry Morton. We see a long recap about how this rivalry started between the Fixers and the Mortons 2 months ago when Wrecking Ball Legursky beat Ricky while Kerry was getting attacked by Bradley on the outside. Then we saw how the Mortons made the save at Always Ready pay-per-view. They came in and saved the beatdown that the Fixers were helping Colby Carino do. Then 2 weeks ago, when we saw Carrie pinned Colby Carino in a 6-man tag involving a lot of these guys. So coming out to the ring with Wrecking Ball Legursky is Jay Bradley. Then Kerry Morton comes out with his father, Ricky. And Kerry and Legursky, we're told, don't have manager's license, but Billy Corgan is allowing them to be out here ringside to avoid any sneak attacks and running out later on. We'll see if that works. So Jade Bradley starts the match off using his major size advantage to take control early, shakes off any strikes that Kerry was giving Jay, and then Bradley takes him down with a lariat. Bradley then drops a knee and plays up to the crowd. A lot of playing up to the crowd in this match. Kerry tries to fight back, but Bradley hits a haluva kick in the corner to keep control. The crowd's now rallying behind Kerry again, but a headbutt and chops from Bradley has Kerry in trouble. So Kerry rolls out of the ring. His father, Ricky, tells Kerry something. So Kerry comes back in the ring, starts unloading some strikes. Jay Bradley blocks a neck breaker and then stays in control. So Kerry's not able to get anything going in this match. And he's going to have to go for something big to change momentum, am I right? So Bradley then hits a middle rope elbow drop, and the crowd goes quiet. They think it might be over. Bradley instead talks trash to Ricky while continuing to destroy Kerry. The crowd rallies behind Kerry big time now, and Bradley blocks a big boot attempt and hits a power bomb. It looks like it might be getting to the end of this match, but instead of pinning Kerry, Jay goes over and talks more trash to Ricky Morton. This allows Kerry to get up, hit a knee strike, and roll up Jay Bradley for the 1, 2, 3. Your winner by pinfall is Kerry Morton. Kerry got destroyed that entire match and gets the win. I'm never a big fan of watching matches like that. I don't like matches like that. I guess it could happen in real life, but nothing exciting for me there. So before Powerrr goes off air, we do have the big Billy Corgan announcement. So Billy Corgan comes out, shakes the hand of the Mortons first of all. Then Billy goes over to Kyle Davis and says, friends, the lineal succession of the NWA championships is the most important part of my job. It must remain clear and decisive. I've taken a lot of guff in the back, so I'm going to keep it simple. There will be a tournament, the race for the chase. The winner will be #1 contender for the NWA World Heavyweight title and get their title shot at NWA 74. And then he starts saying the first round matchups will be the Pope versus Brian Myers, Tom Lattimore versus Chris Adonis, which if you remember, those two fought at Always Ready, and Tom won that match. And then the third, so he only announces 3 matches. So it was the Pope versus Brian Myers, Tom Lattimore versus Chris Adonis, and Nick Aldis versus Tim Storm. So the crowd goes crazy. Billy Corgan explains that he has lifted Tim Storm's ban about going for the 10 pounds of gold. So I narrate here in the notes, it's either going to be a triple threat match after these first round matches, or there's an unannounced fourth match in the first round, and it'll just be an 8-man tournament. So I'm not quite sure how this tournament will go. Right now, we've only got 3 matches announced, so potentially the 3 winners of those matches might meet in the finals in a triple threat. I'm not quite sure. But Tim Storm is emotional on commentary and about being announced in this tournament, and talks about how big of a deal this is, and we go off the air. So pretty good episode of Power. Like I said, that first match, the one with the triple threat match for the TV title, was one of the better matches we've seen on any of these Powers or USAs in the last month or so. So great stuff there. That was the Odinson winning the #1 contendership for the TV title against AJ Cazana and Judais. So shout out to them for that good match. And we've set up some more storylines. So things are looking pretty good as we get closer to, I think it's August 27th or something like that, 28th. So we've still got quite a bit of time. We've got probably 6 or 7 more weeks until the pay-per-view. So a lot of things to set up still, but we've done a good job of setting things up here. And let's get into the July 9th episode of NWA USA. And right as the show starts, the bell rings to kick off our first match. Already in the ring is Jack Dane, and he's going to take on adorable Anthony Andrews in a non-title match. So Jack Dane's national open weight title is not on the line, or national heavyweight title is not on the line. So Dane starts strong using his size advantage at the beginning. Dane gets wrist control and hits a bunch of headbutts into the chest of Andrews. Dane then blocks a stinger splash and hits a suplex, and Dane covers with a cocky pin, which of course Andrews is able to kick out of. Andrews now dodges a big boot and knocks Dane down with a shoulder tackle, but Dane bails the ring to big boos. Now Dane takes off his vest and means business. So Dane gets back in, throws Andrews right into the ring post shoulder first, then hits Andrews with a massive, great-looking Samoan drop. That was nice. And I can see why Dane keeps the vest on usually. He looks much, much more intimidating with the vest on. The crowd now rallies behind Andrews, but Dane is keeping control with striking. Andrews counters a back body drop with a knee strike, 2 more knee strikes, and then 2 stinger splashes, followed by a choke slam by Andrews. All of that in a row. That gets Andrews a 2 count. Really good match for USA standards here. Dane then blocks a power slam and takes Andrews' head completely off with a lariat for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall is Jack Dane. Dane then goes over to Kyle Davis, puts his vest on, but then doesn't say anything and leaves. So another good match. Good matches this week, and we're not even to the best one of the week yet. So good stuff by NWA this week, especially after those 2 kind of disappointing tag title matches last week. Both of them combined couldn't have added up to 10 minutes, and that's just crap to me. So the main event today will be, like I said, the junior heavyweight title match, Homicide versus VSK. That should be a good one, especially if it goes over 5 minutes, which I think it does, and it ends up being a good one. So the opening video for USA plays, NWA USA. This opening video is probably one of the best opening videos in all of wrestling. I don't think many people would know that. I don't know how many people watch NWA USA, but they got a really good opening video package. So now Kyle Davis is with Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis has a lot to say. So he says, for the best part of 5 years, it's been my honor and privilege to represent the NWA all around the world for you fans, and to restore the legacy and tradition of the greatest organization in wrestling history, so that the former legends that held this 10 pounds of gold can look at where NWA is today and be proud. I studied all these men, and I try to do everything I can to show the qualities of these men all around the world. I do what I can so that you can believe in the NWA. But lately, I haven't had a lot of time on Power. There hasn't been time on Power for me. That's why I'm here on USA. There's a big roster back there filling their faces with catering. Not a lot of guys that can put it all together like Nick Aldis. There is one thing I've never been good at, and that's kissing Billy Corgan's ass. These guys in the back, they're phenomenal at that. But whatever the case, I will be the measuring stick in NWA. I'll outdo everything and everyone until I am NWA World Champion yet again. Good promo there by Nick Aldis, and I like how he called everybody out in the back, feeding their fat faces and kissing Billy Corgan's ass. So good fiery promo there by Nick Aldis. So in the back, May is with Jake Dumas and his assistant CJ. They've been one of the more interesting parts of the shows these last couple of weeks, and CJ apparently had been doing a long con as while acting ditzy, and it was just a con so that Jake Dumas could get the win. I noted last week I would have, if I was Jake, I would have used that long con on like a title match or a number one contendership match, and not just to waste it on a random win. Even though all wins are important, you know what I'm saying. So Jake says, "I'm magic. The wrestling world is captivated every time I step through the curtain. As far as the relationship between CJ and I, that's none of your business." So then CJ and May talking Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese to each other. And it kind of looked like CJ was wearing Brazilian colors and Brazilian, uh, what do you call it, carnival type outfits. And this pretty much confirms that CJ is also from Brazil, just like May Valentine. So they're talking and gossiping in Portuguese. So Jake Dumas just walks off and leaves them to keep talking. So when we get back to the ring, already in the ring is Angelina Love and Jenna Side, and the bell rings right away, just like the other match. So Velvet is loving that Angelina's here. Velvet Sky is on commentary for both these shows. Thankfully, not quite as annoying as she's been in the past. Love then hits a nice knee shot, but Jenna blocks the Botox injection pump kick, and Jenna takes control off of that. Love then hits a jawbreaker and counters a move into a pin, but Jenna catches a crossbody soon after and hits a nasty looking follow-away slam. This sends Love crawling out of the ring. She crawls all the way over to Velvet and says that she cannot do this anymore. So Velvet says, "You have to. You got to get it back in there." But Love isn't interested, gets counted out, and your winner by count out is Genocide. And that was really awkward. We'll have to see where this story goes. Angelina Love did get really hit hard on that fall away slam, but definitely not enough to just crawl away and quit the match, in my opinion. So something's definitely weird is going on here. We'll have to wait to see what happens. Now over with Kyle is the small guy. I don't know his name. They never told me his name. This is the second time I've seen him now since NWA Always Ready. He's got his little brother Russ with him, who is twice the size of the big brother. So that's the story here. But anyway, I think we saw these guys fighting Trevor Murdoch in an empty arena right after Always Ready. And now the little guy is calling out Trevor Murdoch, which everybody's basically laughing at. So we'll see where that goes. But again, his quote unquote little brother is really big, named Russ. So maybe Trevor Murdoch has something he'll have to get through Russ before he gets to NWA 24 or 74. So now in the back with May Valentine is Luke and PJ Hawks. Luke says, "Yeah, I'm always angry, but Homicide, we're not done. Colby Carino, on the other hand, after the hit you put out on my son, there ain't going to be nothing left to your little ass." So Luke is putting the Homicide hatred on the back burner as he goes after Colby Carino next. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll see what the Hawks do. And now we get another edition of Stanley's Drill. He welcomes in Mercurio. Now, if you remember, we saw Mercurio maybe 3 weeks ago on USA. He's a Italian cover romance novel model, such as basically he's Fabio, if you know who Fabio is. So Mercurio says since Stanley's wearing girls' earrings, he'll be nice to him since he treats ladies right. Mercurio says he's the best wrestler in NWA, and he says his hair is beautiful. He only uses oil grown in Italy. I'm guessing olive oil. Mercurio's fake Italian accent is pretty bad, but I think that's the gimmick. I think that's the joke. So pretty good as far as a character goes. It's nice to have some characters on the show. So we go to an ad break. That was really nothing, just to put over Mercurio's gimmick. And we now see a recap from Powerrr about the tournament that will start next week. We also saw Odinson winning the #1 contendership for the NWA TV title. That should be a good match versus Tyrus whenever that happens, maybe at NWA 74. But again, that is 7 weeks away, so I hope we don't go like months and months without a TV title match. Anyway, in the back is May yet again. She's got Camille this time. So Camille says, does it look like I need a damn gatekeeper? I don't need your help, Kylan. I don't know what you're up to, but I'm keeping my eye on you. So if you remember on over where she was talking about when Kaylin was coming in talking to Allison Kay about the things like basically being a gatekeeper. So that pisses off Camille. That's interesting to note, and we'll have to see where that goes. And our USA main event is going to be for the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. So VSK comes out the big boos, of course, being part of the Cardona faction. Homicide comes out the big cheers, despite him almost always cheating in his matches. The crowd loves him. So hopefully this match gets a little bit of time, and it does. We get more time in this match than we did the tag title matches last week, which is great. So they start the match with some good grappling as they feel each other out. A little slow at the beginning, but the grappling was decent. Homicide goes to pull the hair of VSK, so VSK rakes the eyes back. No clean break on a break, so VSK goes in on the attack with strikes now. And like I said, it looked like Homicide's willing to fight fire with fire here and cheat just as much back. So VSK blocks a hip toss and then hits a lariat of his own. Homicide turns the momentum around with 3 atomic drops in a row. That was interesting. VSK is able to get up and hit a springboard drop kick to get control back. That was a great looking move. Homicide's fighting back now, but VSK hits a scoop slam immediately into a splash. That for a 2 count. That was a good looking move. Something I really haven't seen before, that quick of a splash right after a scoop slam. VSK then hits an uppercut, but Homicide just flicks him off the middle finger in response. Homicide then hits 2 headbutts into the chest, but then gets caught with a tilt-the-world backbreaker from VSK. Great match here. Homicide blocks another splash attempt, this time by getting his knees up. In a nasty, nasty looking overhead belly to belly, drops VSK right on his head. I'm sure he was okay, and they were professionals, and they did it on purpose to make it look. I'm sure he landed more on his shoulders than his head, but they made it look really nasty. Great stuff here. So VSK isn't done. He gets up and eats another exploder suplex. So VSK is in trouble. But VSK is able to reverse the next move, which is a Tiger Driver attempt into a Hurricane Rana. So good stuff here. Homicide rakes the eyes to take back control. Homicide could see it slipping away, going back to the cheating ways. VSK then counters out of a sleeper hold with a really good looking Sayoto suplex. Great match. This is the best match in NWA since the Always Ready pay-per-view. And I already said that about that triple threat #1 contendership TV title on Powerrr. So a really good wrestling week for NWA coming off of I kind of buried NWA last week because those 2 tag title main events on Powerrr and USA last week were abysmal. So now we're getting a really good title match here. And remember, VSK just had countered out of a sleeper hold with a Sayoto suplex, but Homicide's able to get back up and hit the Tiger Driver, but VSK kicks out of that. So VSK misses a Swanton bomb attempt, and Homicide's able to hit a Koji cutter, and VSK kicks out of that. So Homicide takes him up the top ropes. It's an avalanche Koji cutter for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall, and still NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion is Homicide, and USA ends with Homicide celebrating in the ring. So, like I said, great in-ring action this week between the Junior Heavyweight title match we just saw, as well as the opening match on USA between Jack Stane and Anthony Andrews, and the triple threat match with Odinson, Judais, and AJ Cazana. So those 3 matches are definitely recommend you going out of your way to go watch. You can find them for free on the NWA YouTube page, and definitely go watch those matches. Other than that, it looks like we've got a bunch of storylines set up for the coming 6 or 7 weeks until the NWA 74 pay-per-view event. We've got a lot going on. I'll definitely go back over all the storylines that we've got threading through the shows before the next right before the next review. So when I start next week's review, I'll go over all those storylines, the branching storylines yet again. So great stuff from NWA. Go check out these shows for free on YouTube. and I will be talking to you guys again soon. So I'll be back later today with a NJPW Strong review. And if you're only here for the NWA reviews, I'll see you again probably next Saturday. So have a good one, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.